Well, good evening. Oh, good late afternoon, should I say. I've come to my second location. We are a gnat's whisker off high tide. Apologies if you're getting any wind noise. The wind's sort of coming in this way. We're at a place called Hawkscray Pier. Again, I've only seen a couple of images of it, so I had really no idea what to expect when I got down here. I didn't expect the tide to be in quite as far as it is. The few images I have seen have been with lots more foreground. But we'll work with what we've got. I'll spin you around in a second so you can have a look. We've also got yachts anchored. We've got the most murkiest sky you've ever seen. We're not going to get any sunset colour. I mean, we're miles off sunset, so I suppose it could happen. So we're about quarter past 5, I suspect. High tide was 1:45, I believe, and sunset isn't till 9:45. So there is a chance, but there's thick, heavy, blocky clouds. Sun's going down that way. Yeah, and it's just solid blanket cloud. In my mind's eye, when I'd seen this place on Google, I'd got to do a long exposure, minimal, along the whole of the pier, but with the boats at the end and the lack of haze, for want of a better word, there's too much guff in the background to make it actually viable. Let me show you what this pier looks like and you might have a better understanding what on earth I'm on about. There we go. The images I've seen, there's been a lot more foreground here. Maybe they're old, I don't know. But as you can see out in the distance, let's see if I can just wiggle you up a bit. There we go. We've got 6 yachts moored in the area that I want to be shooting. We've got 2 islands, and right in the far distance you can see the Forth Rail Bridge, just peeking its head up above the hills. It's a very pleasant little area. Better look around there. It's mainly hotels as far as I can see, very posh upmarket houses. Not going to like me being here. Yeah, interesting. I like the fact that it's old and broken, and I like the fact that it's weathered. I'm shooting away from the light, which is good because it means I can do a slightly longer exposure. Hold on a second. I can do a slightly longer exposure to bring out the textures and the tones in that weathered wood without actually blowing everything. The ships, they're not going to be too much of an issue to clone out, to be fair. Ships, yachts. Time to get the camera out, have a wander around and decide what I can do other than just go home. Well, I didn't think I'd bother showing you the 15 or so minutes that I've spent wandering around trying to find a composition that I actually like. I've kind of settled on one. I've put the Tokina on and I'm at 14mm, which is giving me a little bit of foreground. I'm at f8, and that's actually, and I don't quite understand this, it's actually putting the foreground in focus as well as the pier. And the rocks down here have got beautiful yellow lichen, I can only describe it as. I would have thought it was maybe sea lichen if there is such a thing. I've got the pier going not quite from the bottom left, I've got a little bit of foreground down there and going out to almost the top third right hand side. By putting the 10 stop on, and I managed to dig me 0.9 grad out, I've managed to lose the oofing great cruise ship going through, the oofing great tugboat that's going through, and the boat that is just at the end of the jetty has had enough movement that the mast has all but disappeared. I wanted to leave the distant hills in, just to give it a bit of context as to where we are, but there's that much tut in the background, I don't think I'm going to bother. Now, a 10 stop image at f8 was giving me 61 seconds. Oh, I'm blind as a bat, unfortunately. Yeah, 61 seconds. And that's not quite over on the right hand side of the histogram. It's fairly evenly exposed. Brings out the nice weathered textures in that wood, which I really like. it gives a little bit of movement in the sky. I could probably get away with putting a 0.3 on top of the 0.6 because there is a little bit of texture in those clouds. So I might have a go at that. The polarizer I've got turned on, so we're seeing the rocks underneath the water, because the rocks under the water are really covered in this yellow stuff, which is being brought out by having the polarizer on. And I think that's going to do for image number 1. I'm going to have a scout around now and see if I can find image number 2. Well, there are times when you just have to go, no. The amount of post-processing that I'm going to have to do on the images that I'm going to get from here, it's not worth it in my mind. I think I needed to be here on an incoming tide when it's a lot lower to get further out, to be able to stand over there, excuse me, and shoot more of the pier. But hey, I've never been before, so it's trial and error. I did a shot with the 0.3 on top of the 0.9, and that actually brought a little bit more detail out in the sky. They're going to be mono. There's a really blue haze, again, really yucky blue haze. And even with the 10 stop on, I wasn't getting any movement in the cloud, although as you can see from my delightful hair, there is quite a breeze down here. So I'm going to call it quits here. I've been, I've seen, I've got some ideas for coming back in the future, so it hasn't been a wasted trip, and I think I've got one image that I quite like, but the amount of processing I'm going to have to do to get it how I wanted it to be is more than I would realistically have wanted to do. But hey, you can't have it all. So I'm going to waddle my way back up the hill, chuck the stuff in the car. There was another location that I spotted. I had no idea how to get there, but I'm not in any rush to get to my sunrise location. So I'm going to take a trundle down and have a look at that place and see if we can do anything there. So I'll catch up with you in a little while. Well, I'm just about to come up to the second subject that I was going to shoot tonight. And it's one of those. It's supposed to be huge. And as I've pulled into the road at the top and thought, surely I should be able to see it by now. No. And I'm thinking, am I in the right place? We're at a little spot not far from the Forth Road Bridge. Do you ever feel it's going to be one of those evenings? Well, I found it, and again, the tide is just too far in. Learning curve, never been here before. I think I've seen a sum total of one image of this place. There's plenty of foreground, which when the tide's out will be fantastic. It's so calm. But I can see the subject and I can make a shot from here, but it's not the image that I wanted. I'm going to have to carry on and walk up there and see, because I can see there's boulders. There looks like a little place you might be able to get down. We'll have a look. Oh, it's so calm. That's amazing. I think we're past Slackwater, the tide's got to be receding. It's a beautiful evening. Lots of yucky cloud. Lovely clear area out there, which would be rather nice. Huge great, what do they call them, cruise liner going out. And this is the subject that I'd come to shoot. Surprise, surprise. Yes, it's not the Forth Road Bridge. For those of you that thought I was going to be really boring and unoriginal and do that, no, I'm picking on a pier and being really boring and unoriginal. That there tanker is the problem because I wanted to shoot down it. I could shoot from here, but then I'm going to have all that hill and greenery in the way. Not too much of an issue getting rid of the boats to the right hand side, but getting rid of that is going to be an absolute nightmare. And that's more than I want to do. What I was saying just now, there's a little point just over there where it looks like you might be able to get down. So we'll go for a wander up there and have a look-see. It's just the way things are today. So again, a learning curve. I now know that I could come here on a very low tide, probably an incoming, when the tide has just started to come in. Because if you went down there on an outgoing, I suspect the rocks would be lethally slippy and it would probably be mucky and muddy. Whereas if it was dry, because the tide had been out, then maybe you'd be able to get out to it. But I'm not disheartened. Honest. Where there's a will, there's a way. Not going to be beaten, promise you. I'm going to get an image from here if it's the last thing I do. Let's just have a look down here. Ooh, ooh. Yeah, you could definitely walk out across this lot if there wasn't any water there, obviously. Or if I had my waders on, but I really wouldn't fancy it being here on mine because that looks like it gets stupidly deep. Such a shame. There's birds nesting on it as well. The reason for wanting to shoot it from over there is I've got a cleaner background to work with. Which would mean I don't have to do so much cloning with the horizon. Because I don't like messing around in Photoshop. It's a pain in the bum. I'd rather be out taking photos. Well, I think the word I'm looking for is poop. I wanted as far up to the top as I reasonably wanted to go. I didn't want to end up in the next county before I came back. I can't see a way down the cliff edge, so I think it is one where you get onto the rocks at that little place I was at just now and walk along the seabed, but obviously the tide needs to be out. But all may not be lost. On the way up, and I'm just looking for it now, I saw a possibility. Not an image I wanted or I'd set out to take, because I'm really boring and unoriginal with jetties, but this will be a bit different, because if I can find, there it is, we've got a little break in the greenery, so I can get a heads-on view of it. And it'll be either the 17 to 55 or the 70 to 200 at 70 mil, I think. Never give up, never give up. Where there's a will, there's a way. As I say, it's not the image I was looking for. It's not the image I thought I would get, but it's an image nonetheless. Right, shall we get the camera out the bag and have a go? Because you've got to try, haven't you? You've got to try these things. If you don't try, you'll never know. I've done some fiddling and some faffing, and I've taken my fleece off. I've had my little, it's a lightweight fleece, but I had it on more to protect myself from the midges, because we all know that midges like me for breakfast, dinner and tea. I've faffed and fanned around, done a little bit of gardening. I've put the 70 to 200 on. I'm actually at 85 mil because otherwise some of the shrubbery was encroaching. I can just tweak it out a little bit. Yeah, there'll be a little bit of cloning to do, bottom right hand corner. I've put the polarizer on. It's not actually having, oh, I don't actually. Yes, it is. It is having quite a good effect. I'm going to turn it off so that everything is whiter. And I shouldn't need a grad on this, I don't think, because with the polarizer off, the sea blends almost seamlessly onto the horizon. There's two islands in the distance which are just being picked up. Let me dig out. I'm going to go for the big guns. That looks like the 10 stop. I've already got, in fact I'm going to have to do that, twiddle that round so that the polarising effect has come. Oh, I do talk rubbish sometimes, don't I? Put it in at an angle, you dopey tart. Right. Vibration reduction is off. White balance is set to 10,000 kelvins. I'm on F8. I've pre-focused. There's also, just in the nick of time, there's also an oofing great boat coming in. Looks like a container ship. Most of it will get lost with the 10 stop on. I'm curious to see what this is going to turn out like. Well, I think I've done. There's a limit to what you can do when you've got one point of view or lots of cloning, and I really don't want to spend that much time. Excuse me, I'm just... Yes, that flipping tanker's still there. Yes, there's a limit to how much time I want to spend post-processing. So I'm going to pack up and wend my way to my sunrise location for tomorrow, and then I've got to wend my way home. I'm not disappointed. I've been to 2 new locations and learnt, so that's a good thing. I have now formulated ideas for what the conditions are that I need to make the images that I want. I know what to look for when I come back up this way again. So it's not been a waste of time. I don't think any time out with the camera is a waste, so long as you either get an image that you like, learn something, or both. If you get both, brilliant. But I've done what I think is a fairly decent image here, unexpected and a slightly different angle to what I would normally shoot. And I'll see you again next weekend. You never know, we might get a sunrise. Oh, stranger things have happened. Have a good week. See you Sunday. Bye.